Hello and welcome everybody to our Saturday stream. I'm Josh and this is our map and image creation. This is the stream that we go over all of our art related news, as well as the majority of the stream is doing demonstrations and the usage of all of the image creation tools inside of Fantasy Grounds Unity. So thanks everyone for joining me today. And this month's art pack release is going to be another steampunk. The last one we did was steampunk vehicles, and this one's going to be more geared toward other steampunk kind of creations. And there's some really cool kind of like moving gears and things that you can use. I'm going to do a couple of these. I think we'll do one more before we move on to doing some other stuff. But that's going to be the current iteration of what's coming out. So if you do have the art subscription, that will be included in it, which includes all of the official Fantasy Grounds art pack releases that I make. And so there's quite a lot there. And I believe it's like $50 a year or $5 a month. Also, it is available for purchase. So any of these packs can be used, and you can create all kinds of really cool stuff inside of Fantasy Grounds. And that's what we're going to be diving into today. I'm going to be doing a little bit shorter of a stream today, but we should be able to make some cool stuff. And if you guys have any questions, or if there's anything that I can help you with, please feel free to throw it right into the chat. I'm happy to explain things or to explore new ways to use some of the tools. It's always super fun. And yeah, so let's dive right into this. I always work in the test channel. This is if you guys are unfamiliar, when you first start up Fantasy Grounds, you can select the live channel, which is what we suggest that you play on. But there is always the test channel, which is where a lot of the new stuff kind of gets tested, which is hence the name. So you guys are always more than welcome to kind of dive in there and see what's coming. As far as like features and goes, if anything is going to be updated, it will come there first. So as we kind of progress here, let's just make, I think we have a new image. Yeah, we have a new image that's ready to kind of go here. And I'm in, this is actually core, but I'm using the images for, this is Werewolf for the World of Darkness. If you guys are wondering what kind of theme or rule set that this would be in, and that's what it would be. So without too much further ado, let's jump right into here. I always like to start off by setting my grid to 100 by 100. It's just, you certainly don't need to do that. I just do it because it's easy for me for the math. 100 pixels across for the grid system. And it just makes everything a little bit more manageable on my end, especially when I'm trying to make images and so forth. And if a lot of times what I've been doing recently now with the new export feature is having this little image creation area here. And you can see by having these set up, similarly, I can kind of tell the size that the image is going to be exported at so that we can have a better representation there as well. So we made this little thing last time we streamed. We can delete this now because we've already exported it. And so anytime that we run into something that we need to create, we can make it ourselves right inside of Fantasy Grounds and then export it, and it'll be saved for us. If we go into our assets here, I'm going to come up into here. We go to images. I believe I usually save it in the campaign folder. Yeah. So anytime that we save something, as you can see here, we've created a couple of different stuff. And we can export this stuff out to create our own assets. It's a super handy little tool here that we're able to, and we can even export out entire maps, right? So, and here we did like a desk. Lots of different parts. So when we were creating this, we actually went through quite a few iterations. So we have all of these new parts that we can just grab and kind of drop down into whatever we want to be making in the future. We actually, what we're actually doing here is creating our own library of elements. which is super cool. See here, in fact, we replicated a tank at one point, as well as we did like some kind of graffiti stuff. So you can see basically the sky's the limit. Your imagination is the only limitation for what you can achieve inside of Fantasy Grounds, right? We made this portal at one time, and lots of really cool stuff here. Super fun. Yeah, see? More like machine elements that we made. That was for when we did the post-apocalyptic area. So, as we kind of progress here, we're just going to start building out. What should we be making today, guys? Do you guys have any sort of suggestions? I think the last thing that we made was the frozen lake, which we completed this a little bit ago. And as you can see here, this is where we actually added in that element that we created in a separate image workspace. So what is on the agenda today? Anybody have any suggestions, or has anybody been working on something and they'd like to see how I would approach it, or anything at all? Let's get some ideas thrown around here. I usually like to break it down into interior or exterior locations, right? The main reason for that is that if the exterior and the interior locations generally are set up differently for gaming purposes, right? One, taco stand, that actually sounds pretty fun. Yeah, we could totally do like a neat little element. Oh yeah, Goblin Fair, that's pretty cool. Outdoor seating. You know what? Why don't we can start to combine these together, and I think that'd be really cool, right? What if we did like a goblin, steampunky kind of fair in the woods? That sounds pretty cool, actually. Yeah, like a goblin amphitheater. Yeah, that sounds all kind of cool. The carnival music. What do you think goblin carnival music is like? All right, so first thing that we're gonna do here, right, is yeah, lots of giggles. Because we're going to create our like backdrop, right? So this is going to be like in a foresty area. So that'll be the first area that we kind of do. We'll put down our ground elements. So I'm just going to create a new painting layer right here. I'm actually going to drop down the opacity of this a little bit. And we can go into, I think we'll do like, I'm going to go into the 2019 art pack. I'm going to go into the tiles, and I'm going to grab one of these. I think we'll do like this dark ground. Or actually, you know what? For contrast, I think we might go with a lighter ground. Let's do something like this. So I'm going to go into my painting tab here. I'm going to turn off my stroke. I'm going to switch around and make sure I got my rectangle selected, and I'm just going to drop this right in here. This is a repeating pattern. It's a seamless texture, and so therefore, when I drag this out, you can see here, it's going to give us a pretty good, a natural kind of feeling of no seams and a good bit of like ground kind of texture here, which we can build up on. Or you know what? Let's I oftentimes use this. Actually, let's go into our. I think it's countryside. And here we have another ground texture. Let's actually use something like this to spice things up here a little bit. Well, I didn't want to do that, so let's delete that. And in here, I can just delete this painting layer and create a new one. And again, this is a seamless texture. We can just kind of grab out. This has, and this is one of the things that you want to be aware of when you're doing these things, right? The more detailed elements for these seamless textures, the more it's going to be obvious of a repeating pattern. Your eye is going to pick up on these elements. Now, this is really easily fixed inside of Fantasy Grounds. We can do a whole bunch of different ways to kind of change these parameters, especially using the same exact element here. But you just should be aware of it, right? It's not going to really bother us too much because we're going to be putting down grass and doing other things, and we can cover up those. But oftentimes, it is something that is a little bit like immersion breaking when you have a lot of repeating patterns like that. But not to fear, we're gonna fix that here shortly. We can let me just demonstrate really quickly how you can do it inside of this. You can do it all in one layer as well. Okay, so I'm just gonna switch over to the circle. And we want to make sure that we are set to a normal overlap, which means that we're creating a new instance. It's not going to add to the one that we've already done. If I go to add, this will not work because it's just going to be adding to the one that's already there. We want to make sure that you're in the normal, right? And what I can do is I can just drag out another section like this. We can go into our edit fill. We can move this to wherever we want it to be. And then we can fade out those edges. And you can see what we've done. We can create elements inside of this with the same exact texture that just break up those bits so you don't get the same kind of repeating elements all over the place. Now I can do exactly the same thing. Now if I come back over into here, you can see we've already kind of set this one up. So I can grab this, and then I can grab that information. You can see it's already going to set my fade for me. And so now I can do the same thing. Well, let's say I want to do it right here. And then these two might be fine. That's going to be okay. And then what we can do is we can come back into here and we can just make this whatever we wish. See, we can even line some of this stuff up so that it seems a little bit more natural. So you really super easy way anytime that you have, and you can do this with any texture. It doesn't have to be this one, but any sort of repeating texture. It's super easy inside of Fantasy Grounds just to alleviate that. And if you wanted to, you could then export this out and have a pre-made background that you could use more consistently. Excuse me while I have a sip of my coffee. So now we have our basic ground set up. Let's see. Do we have some nice grass elements in here? We have a lot of like moving things. We have like bushes, dead trees. Let's do a little bit. I'm actually going to come up into, let's go here. I think that in the desert, there is some neat grass. Yeah, stuff like this. I'm going to change the color and make it a little bit more green. But let's kind of do this here, I think. And now what I can do is I can hold down the G and the B. The R and the B to reduce the red and the blue to bring out the green more, right? So what I'm actually doing is holding down R and B, and as you can see here, we're adding. It's basically by removing the red and the green from this because it's additive. What we're doing is technically increasing the green. And I think I'm going to lower down the green as well to make it a little bit darker. Now, I do this by holding down the keys and using my mouse wheel, but this will give you a little bit more of a visual representation of what I'm trying to achieve here. So I'm going to hit OK. And one of the things that we could actually do is do this on a layer level, which we should probably do that, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this hexadecimal code, and I'm going to hit Control C and hit OK. And then we can actually put this back to normal. And I'll create a new painting layer for this. We can go into the Layers tab, and now we can add that in. And so what this is going to do is when we stamp in here, you can see it's going to automatically change that. Now, the reason why that is a good way to approach this is because now I can grab any of these grasses, and I don't have to consistently change it on a per item basis, right? So I can start to stamp in some grass elements around here. I can change its size, and I can now grab one of these, right? And I can stamp this in here, and it's going to also follow the guidelines by which I set by per layer basis. It's just going to make this a whole lot easier for us to kind of make some nice little like grass elements around. And I don't have anything kind of set in here. We're just going to do some random kind of stuff. And you can see how this also covers up a lot of that background elements. So you get some of that showing through. So a lot of the repeating kind of elements here are going to get hidden anyway. And I'm going to grab this larger one, and then I'm going to lower down its opacity and just do some of these. Like these patches of grass. Now, the way that I usually like to work when I'm creating these maps is that I go from what is furthest away from the viewer. We are the viewer up here, right? Looking down. So our baseline, our ground is going to be the thing that's furthest away from us. And then I move upwards towards the viewer, right? So anything that's going to be, and it helps me think in the layers by which the layer system should kind of be set up, right? So before we get too far, let's just name these. And this is going to be grass. And now that we start to think in those terms, we can think about, well, what is the height of these elements? Should it be behind, poking out underneath? Should it be on top of? And that alleviates any issue later. We can kind of build up from there. So the next thing we might want to do is like throw some stones around. These are kind of like large rocks, right, for like desert kind of location. So that's probably not going to be working well for us here. But we can go into, we have lots of different options for rocks and things. I think that we'll do, let's go back to the countryside art pack. I think that there are some like stones and whatnot in here. These are the ones that I was looking for. And I'm going to be doing another layer here, which is going to be above our grass layer. But maybe, you know what? I might want to do, I think we're going to do like lighter stones, actually. I think that might work out a little bit better. So let's go. I think that we have some lighter stones in. Let me think here. Maybe in here. Let's just do a search. I'm going to go into my images here and let's type in, we'll do stone first. This is going to give a lot of different elements here, so it might take a second. Those ones are from... Let's type in rock. These ones might work from the jungle. Grasslands. Coastal. I think grasslands is going to work for us. So let's go there. Yeah, here we go. Let's grab these ones. Grab something like this, and these, yeah, that's going to work pretty good. So we can start to stamp some of these things around. Let's grab this one. Uh, 55 megabytes is quite large, yes. You might want to think about reducing that. You can, if you use something along the lines of like, what is it? Let me see. Like Shutter Encoder, you should be able to reduce that pretty easily. Do you know which one was it on the forge that you got? I think that there are some guidelines by which that they're supposed to adhere, and if we might be able to get them to reduce them as well. So if you want to let us know which one it was. Oh, neat. I'll have to check it out. So yeah, I think we can kind of go something like this. We'll do this one trees. Yeah, I think that's enough little interesting things that are kind of around here that we can kind of manipulate. We could do some birds flying around. So one of the things, like this is a decoration, right? And if you guys are unaware, there's no discrepancy about where you can use each image inside of the image workspace, right? So just because this says it's a decoration doesn't necessarily mean that you have to use it as a stamp tool. But we can have some like birds flying around and whatnot up in the tree area here. We can put this over into our fill element, right? So we can drop this right in here, and we can drag out our birds here. Let's see, did this not function properly? Turn this off, and let's switch over to the fill element. Yeah, so what we can actually do is what we have here is our fill element inside of or this decoration which is just these circling birds. But you can see once we start to put this into as like a fill, it gets a little bit, changes it, because what it's doing is it's repeating that with an edge here, right? So if we come in here, you can see now what I can actually do is kind of control where these birds are flying from and around. And I can come in here and I can move these around to get them where I would like them to be. And I can increase their size. I could even change like their colors and whatnot. And I can come back in here and like, if I don't want a section of it, like let's say over here, we can just kind of drag this in. Say I want to move it over here, and I just want to have some like birds that are flying around right there. And maybe what I'll do is I'll just darken these up a little bit so we can see them a little bit better. And you can see they're going to fly right off into there. So what I can do is I can manipulate these. See, I can change kind of like what's going on here. Let's move this so they're kind of like flying. And I can grab this and move this back up to here. To make it seem like it's a little bit makes a little bit more sense, right? So we could tighten this up a little bit even if we wanted to. Very cool. Now let's go into, so we have this layer, which is kind of like our undergrowth. It's where our rocks and everything beneath our trees is. So we're going to make a new painting layer, and that's going to be, this is when we're going to start to put our primary like fair elements, right? So we can put like our tents and things and whatnot, and kind of change all of that. So if our scaling is off, this is where we can manipulate it using our grid system. So we can, if we wanted to, we could double the size of this by coming over into here and typing in 50. And now you can see we have a much larger kind of section here to kind of work with without having to change any of the other parameters, right? So if we go back into here and we can type in tent, for example. Now we have all of these like cool like goblin tents and whatnot from the Goblin Camp map pack. So we can use some of the stuff like that. We also have like these elements from like the siege. These are more standardized whatnot. And we can always build our own as well. So what kind of things do you think they were going to have here in this? In this goblin kind of fair. And we're going to make it a little bit steampunky too. I think I like that idea of the goblins having a little bit of like weird technology. So we can use a lot of like the medieval machinery as well as the steampunk stuff. So we'll have to have like some food vendors, but what other things do you think that might be here? Do you think that there'd be like games, or we're going to do like a little bit of an amphitheater on one section, but I think we should do like some other kind of events and whatnot. Well, why don't we start building out like the amphitheater? And you guys can throw some ideas at me as we kind of progress here. So the amphitheater is going to be basically like a natural kind of Drake's taco stand for sure. Basically, what we're going to do here is build out like a semicircle. So we're going to have like a circular kind of element to the amphitheater part, and then we'll have, and we want it to kind of feel like it's receding down into the ground. I don't know if you guys have been to like some of the old style like amphitheaters. I have one near me, and it's actually like an indent into the ground. And we'll have like we'll probably have it like facing this direction. So like this will be like the stage kind of area, and we'll have like these circles over here, and then we can put some other stuff over in this area. And one of the cool things about this, let's say, for example, if we wanted to, we could even put this back to 100 by 100. Going down into our ground layer here, we can get into our painting tab here and do this. And what we can do is just grab this stuff, and I'm going to hold down Control so it snaps. And we could pull this out to maybe something like there. Go to our grass area, grab this stuff, maybe move it over like this. Our undergrowth. And open this up a little bit more. If I want to, I can come back down into my grass area down here, and I can always pick up some of these elements here. And do something like this. So if we go back into our elements here, we can build our own depending on how. Do you think that this would be like an ancient kind of place? Do you think it'd be like well worn and deep into the ground, or is this a rough construction? Do you think? What do you guys think about the overall feel and look of the amphitheater? So one of the ways that we can kind of go about this, if we go into stone brush, we can get some elements. I think we'll do it more like field stone. Yeah, something like this. And we can go into our circle here. We're going to turn off our fill now. Go over into our stroke. And we're going to drop this in here. So basically, and I think that this is probably going to be the easiest way to do it. I'm actually going to build it over here, and then we can move it over. But what we're going to do is I'm going to hold down Control, and that's going to snap it to the grid. I'm also going to hold down Alt so that it builds out from the center, and I'm going to hold Shift so that it maintains its the circle element, right? Like the perfect even circle. So what we're going to do is I'll start off out here because we're starting from this middle section right there. And as I come out, maybe something like that, and then I can do another one like that, and then I can do another one and one more. Now there's a couple of different ways that we can kind of change this, right? Because basically what we're going to do is we only want like a semicircle here. So we could go into our tabs here and we could delete these sections. And now what we have are these elements that we want to kind of do, right? So we can line all of this stuff up. So we could do something like this. Let's get that one and this one. And then we're going to build our little element over here. We also are going to want to do some kind of other stuff with it. So let me grab these now. And I can just move this all as one unit now. And we may even want to, we can go into the layers tab here and we can rotate this, right? Kind of put it in position where we want it to. We can even kind of like squash it if we want to, or kind of change those dynamics. I think what we'll do is let's go over here and let's move this back one more. So it's more like this. And so now what we can do is kind of build this up from there. We're also going to want to do is have like there should be like a pathway like through here. But these actually should, well, maybe we just want to do 2 there and 1 here. And we could move this. Yeah, that should work pretty well, except this is a little bit lopsided now. We should probably just, we'll just do it this way. So it maintains a little bit of evenness, and this will be fine. And we can always change these and move these around if we want to. And we can build like a little, let's go into that goblin package here. Yeah, we can use some of this stuff to help build this stuff out. I think what I'm actually going to do is we want to kind of blend some of this into the ground itself, I think. make it feel a little bit more worn in. And so if we kind of build some of this stuff, we stamp in some little elements along there, I think will work really well. Let's open up our little image creation area over here. And let's go back to our countryside art pack. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little stamping element here. I'm going to fade this off, something like that. I'm going to find something that's going to work pretty good here, I think. Yeah, something like this. And then I can just export this. And I'm going to save it as a WebP. And that's been exported. Now I can go into my campaign data here. I need to refresh this for it to pop up. And here it is. It looks like it's a little bit too dark on the fade. So let's try that again. I'm assuming what it's doing is it's taking into account the background, right? So I would imagine the easiest way to fix that would be to go back into here. And I'm going to create a new painting layer for this. And I'm going to do a color fill. Again, we'll do a circle here. And I'm going to just look at this one. Yeah, let's do it like that. So if I do a circle out from here, I should be able to match it up pretty well here. Whoop, I don't want to do it on that circle. I want to do it here. And I'm going to drop it down underneath. And I'm also going to fade this out. So that we have yeah, that should work okay, I think. Let's try that. Now let's export this. Now if we refresh this, as you can see, let's see if this changes it at all. It's still a little bit wonky on that edge there. Let's see if it fixes it if we do it as instead of a WebP as a PNG. Maybe this has to be not white. Maybe it has to be similar to the color. And maybe we need to make it a little bit bigger. But I think we're always going to get that dark ring in the background. I'm going to have to go back in and look at some of these background images to make sure that they're going to function well for that. I think that that's probably what it is. Let's try this one more time. I'm going to export it as a PNG. And I'm going to say that they look pretty much the same. Oh yeah, so maybe what I'll do is I could build a theme. Well, let's do a little bit of experiment here while we're kind of doing this. I'm gonna take a short break here. I'm gonna refresh my coffee, and I'm gonna I'm gonna go switch to a different theme, one with a white background in the image creation area, and see if that alleviates that problem, so that we can kind of move forward here. So, why don't you guys just hang out for a minute, and I will be right back. Okay, we're back. Thanks for waiting. I changed the theme out here, and we'll do a little bit of an experiment here. I'm really excited about this. So this one has a little bit of a transparent background, but it's a little bit lighter. So it may even kind of pick that stuff up too. Let's try it. Go into our assets. Yeah, let's do it that way. Yeah, see, that makes quite a difference there. Interesting. No matter. We'll continue on here. We can actually do it. I'll close this down. We'll open up our other image here. We can do this a lot of different ways. In fact, we can actually do it just with the fill element itself. So I'm actually going to go down to my ground, grab this, because this is going to set all up those parameters for us, no problem. Oh, Numenera. Yeah, I like the cipher system. I think it's pretty cool. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw out, we're going to do this on this particular layer here, because we're going to want to kind of I want to blur out some of these things, make it a little bit more natural, the way it kind of interacts with the environment here. So what we can actually do is kind of draw out. We might as well just go all the way over. Maybe something like this. And we can come into here and we can fade this out. And then we'll have to, well, actually, let's double click on these and simplify it. And see what we can do here. And then we can come back over into here. I think what we'll do on this edge is we'll actually build, let's go into our Maybe do something like this. And then we'll build our little like stagey kind of area down here. We can do like a wooden construction over it. I'm wondering, I'm just going to drop these here. If something like this, yeah, we could do like some stairs leading down. Yeah, we can add in. I think we'll just grab a stone slab from somewhere. Maybe we want a round one. Oh yeah, it's going to grab all of the backgrounds and things, so we should probably refine our search here a little bit. Something like this could work, but it's a little bit too refined, right? Like we want that. See if that changes it at all. No. All right, let's look up. Maybe we'll make it out of maybe. Oh, you know what we could probably use is like a wooden table, a round table. Maybe something like this. Yeah, I think that that might work pretty good, actually. So what I think what we would do is let's leave that there for right this second. And I'm just going to grab this, keeping it there. And then right from here, I'll do something like that. I think we can use something like this, but then we'll rough it all up. And we'll change this. Let's make it like water. Yeah, like that. Yeah, I think that's starting to look pretty cool. And then we should actually probably put in We should probably close this gap because there should just be like a little walkway down the middle. That's a little bit too wide. So we can fix that pretty easily. Or we could even put in maybe like a central kind of sitting area. So what other elements do you think that we should add in and around? Anything else? I think we should definitely have like some sort of lines with like banners on it and whatnot, you know? Like do you think a goblin fair would be at nighttime or in the daytime? Yeah, why don't we do, I'm going to go back into here. I'm just going to move this out of the way for a minute. Let's move it to something like there. You know what I probably should have done is kept these connected and then just painted over the top of them. Which that's pretty easy to do. I mean, I could just remake this, right? Like, so I'll get rid of those ones, but let's move over here. Right, so what we can actually do is simplify this quite a lot. To make it a little bit more easy to manage. And we can create a nice little pathway here. Except it's got to be like in the middle here. Nice. Yeah, I think that works a little bit better. What do you guys think? It's a pretty good little element here, and then we can do like some other stuff on the outskirts. Now we're going to sell this as being like indented down, right? We should actually probably build this stuff, not this, but here. These things should probably connect right to there. And what we'll do is we'll do our shadow is going to kind of sell the indentation of this, right? So what we're going to do is create like a nice gradient. And what we could actually do is we can come into here, right? Let's create, I'll create another painting layer here. And in here, we'll do a circle. Let's turn the stroke off. And I'm just going to grab this guy. We're going to do something like this. And again, we're going to get rid of this side like this. Come into our tab here. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually increase the size of this. So it's going to be something like this. And we can darken that up and lower down the opacity here. So we can get this nice kind of like gradient, but we want it to be kind of like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually do it like that. And then we can come in on this same layer here. We can grab the same little stamp here. We'll stamp in some of these shadows. Now we could go in underneath. Let's go onto this layer. Stamp in some stuff like that. Oh, sure. Yeah, we've done cities before. What we can do, if you're going to be here next week, I'm going to be stopping my stream here shortly. But if you're going to be around next week, we could finish up this map and then jump into doing some city creation. be happy to demonstrate that kind of stuff. Oh, sure, no problem. What kind of scale are you thinking for your city? Are you doing like a full city map? Is it like a medieval city or is it like a modern city or sci-fi or whatever? Yeah, that's no problem. We can do a medieval city. And we can do one of the great things about the way that Fantasy Grounds works is that we can kind of do it in such a way that, well, depending on the scale by which, like, how big the city is, and what our vantage point is of it, right? Like, if you're just doing like a section of the city for like a battle map, or if you're just going to doing like an overview of like the entire city itself. But all of that is possible pretty easily. I actually have a few art packs that were created specifically for such things. Yeah, no problem at all. Let's do. I think we go into. Yeah, let's use some of this stuff. Hmm. These should be done in steps, right? So we should do a little bit of shadows and stuff for the steps themselves, like through here. We might have to do that next time, though. So I think what we'll do is, especially next time, is we'll put up some like posts and stuff from like streamers and have like some like lots of stuff hanging from it. I would imagine it would be kind of like bones and things that kind of hang. All right, guys. Well, I think I'm going to call it here for today. Thanks so much for joining me. We'll be back for our full length next weekend. Oh yeah, barbecue pit. That sounds like a good idea. Yeah, we'll definitely do that. So we're going to finish this map up next time, and then we'll start on a city, and we'll go through the city creation stuff, and I'll show you guys how I kind of like set that up and do it. That sounds super fun. So I hope everyone has a great week. 3 p.m. Eastern time is when I stream on Saturdays. So this next week will be 3 p.m. and I usually run until about 6. So thanks everyone for joining me, and have a great week, everyone. Take care.